with the digital landscape, we have understood when you do a campaign digitally, it can have a global impact. However, each market is still have their individuality, their culture.
Really to understand the consumer, what are the leverage, the drivers, because now in digital era, it's a lot about content and to have the right content that speaks to the local consumer.
With working with influencers, it's going to be all about building trust, building awareness for the product, and also using those technologies to really show how that product is going to work for you.
How I can make some collaborations, those icons, they can leave a footprint in the culture of the brand. That's, I think, more the challenge of the brands.
Making sure that working with cultural voices that we're going to get the relevance to a subject, getting, through their voices, show the purpose of the brand. Hi everyone, I'm Maira Genovese, the founder and CMO of MG Empower, Global Influencer Market Agency, and this is our Influencer Marketing Uncovered podcast. Today, I'm here with Aleks, Velev, our campaign manager at MG Empower. And together, again, we are very happy and delighted to be joined by the incredible Elvira Serra, General Manager for Biodam, and Helena Hubsten at L'Oreal. She has an incredible experience in the beauty, skincare, and luxury industry in the Latin America, Nordic, and European markets. In today's episode, we're going to have a great conversation over which are the key elements to achieve brand and audience growth in culturally different markets. Super excited to have Elvira today with us. Aleks, how are you?
I'm great, Maira. Hi, everyone. I'm super excited to be co-hosting today's episode with you and with our very special guest joining us from Paris. Elvira, welcome to Influencer Marketing Uncovered, MG Empower's podcast. Thank you so much for accepting our invite. We're very happy to have you and to speak with you today. Just want to kick off the podcast with asking you to tell our audience more about yourself.
Well, I'm Elvira Serra. I'm a general manager for Biodam and Helena Hubsten in Europe. I'm Spanish, as you can hear. I've been working in the beauty industry for almost all my career, almost 20 years. Most of my experience comes from L'Oreal. And I started in Spain as a young product manager. And I moved from Spain to Paris, from Paris to Colombia, from Colombia to the Nordics. And now I recently moved 1 year and a half ago to Paris to join this position. And I'm very glad, despite the fact that I cannot travel and to see my teams in the countries, due to the context that is really challenging us in the sense like what should be the future of this industry, what we need to transform, what we need to look forward.
And how is Paris treating you? So it's your first time leaving France?
No, it's my second time. I'm super happy. My first kid is Parisian.
Look, amazing. It's so good. Like I'm loving our podcast guests because we are bringing guests from all over the world, and it's super exciting to have you here. And to your introduction, where you're saying that you have lived in so many different countries throughout your career experience. So I'd love to start our conversation around that. And we more than ever, with the digital landscape, we have understood that when you do a campaign digitally, it can have a global impact, right? Because before the era of digital, the era of influencer marketing strategy, there were much more focus on creating campaigns that were focusing to certain markets, right? Since the globalization, this has changed a little bit because now, if you create a campaign digitally in France, it can, have a reach in other markets. However, that said, each market is still have their individuality, their culture, right? I would love to start this conversation and asking you about key elements for brands when they're looking into reach new markets and consider to implement their digital first, marketing strategy. What are the key to succeed, and what is the key element to look into the culture of each market?
It's very funny because I did the digital transformation in Colombia, and which is a quite not new subsidiary, but we were quite far from the development of digital in Europe or in US or in Asia. And the first thing you need to take into account is the maturity of the market, okay, and what is the penetration of digital. The second thing is you need to take into account is teams. Are your teams are not upskilled or not? You need to onboard your management committee. Is the first things I did, and then you need to work on what is the setup for each brand. What is the setup that every single like business unit in the business need in terms of digital. For example, we have 4 divisions. It's not the same setup that the professional division needs that mass market or luxury division. And another point is you need to really to understand the consumer. What are the leverage, the drivers, because now in digital era, it's a lot of about content and to have the right content that speaks to the local consumer. And sometimes what is coming from the headquarters is not enough relevant for the local consumer.
And what is the key secret to adapt a content to a local market? Like you mentioned about understand your target audience, understand the behavior of your consumers. But is there any other, secret of like how can you convert, a content that's coming from a headquarters, for example, from global, and making it relevant to a certain market?
My experience, I'm talking about my experience in the previous jobs, is a lot about A/B testing and agility. When it comes to digital, you have the KPIs right away. It's not like a big TV campaign that you need to wait 3-4 weeks in order to have the results that you are going to see immediately what is the reaction of the consumer. I remember when I was in the Nordics, it was super funny because the way to communicate to a Swedish, it was completely different of the way to communicate to a Norwegian or a Finnish. And what I used to do with my teams is, okay, we set up like 2, 3, 4 kind of contents that, okay, we do a lot of research, consumer research, etc. And then we test and learn. And then you need to be super agile to say, okay, this is the one is engaging more with this kind of audiences, and then to switch all the investment to that one, and so on. That I know that for some companies, big companies, it's not that easy because they are not agile. That's why the niche brands are like eating all the digital ecosystem, because since they don't have that many structure, they are quite agile. Sometimes they arrive even faster than the big companies. And nowadays it's about agility. It's not about to be 200% perfect. It's about like speed to the market to arrive the first. And the first who arrived is the one is going probably to gain 3 times what the second or the third one is going to gain in terms of market share.
Yeah, absolutely. And in terms of what you said, like testing out the market penetration in digital, how many people are using digital within that market, and test and A/B testing to see what works is definitely key. We've seen it with the campaigns that we have ran. In different markets, different things resonate, different creators perform better, and different content performs better with the audience. It's not a one-size-fits-all approach. And want to like move into my question regarding this, because obviously this is Influencer Marketing Uncovered. We're speaking about creators and influencers. Just wanted to ask you, in your opinion, how important is working with creators and cultural voices within a certain country to help a brand penetrate that market and reach a new audience?
I think the best example is a search. Like the way that an Italian is searching about hair care products is completely different of the way that someone in Germany and the approach. One thing is key when you set up your campaigns is choose your battles, because at the end, nowadays, since all the companies are moving their investments to digital, it's super crowded. It's like TV 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And then since the amounts, they don't seem to be huge compared to a TV campaign, the people think like, okay, it's enough to put a little bit here, a little bit there. At the end, it's a question of, okay, what is the entry ticket to your market in order to be seen by a consumer? And then to focus your investments on 1, 2 channels, 3 max, because sometimes we ended up being lost of, digital is super complex. So when I started, it was about TV print, and to set up a campaign, it was like 1 month and a half to prepare it. Now you need to prepare a digital campaign 6 months in advance, because you have a lot of things to work on. The first thing is content. You need to adapt the wording. And then when you need to adapt the wording, you need to look into, okay, this is the frame, the guidelines you can receive. And then you need to understand, like, if this word for your country is relevant or not, or maybe this is another word that the people are searching more, because it's a question of how you can emerge in the algorithm. It's a question of how you can emerge in this crowded internet landscape that nowadays we are all facing.
Elvira, because your experience is in terms of product is around skincare, right? And skincare industry, we saw the past year with the pandemic starting last year in March, that the skincare industry, we saw an incredible growth, right? In terms of revenue and consuming, buying more skincare throughout this time, because everyone is at home and they are much more investing in self-care, and self-care meaning having a good skincare product to use as your home. And then with that, we saw the rise of social commerce, right? Because then we go back to the influencers, where influencers were sharing, their daily routine, what they're doing at home throughout the pandemic, how they are treating their skin. And then it was when a lot of skincare brands starting seeing that growth coming, because there was a combination of user generate content, right? Organic content, and a combination of, paid content. And then now social commerce is something that the English has been talking a lot about it. We'd love to type into this and understand your perspective on the industry of clean beauty versus social commerce and influencers.
Mm-hmm. At the end, it's a question of what as a brand in consumer funnel. It's awareness, it's consideration, it's conversion. At the end, I think the last years we were really focused on consideration, on advocacy, and on really to engage with the end consumer. That's why I think the last 10 years, the influencer marketing has changed a lot. Now I think in Europe, in US, they started a little bit earlier than us. They are moving to this business model like in Asia, where you have superstars, super big influencers. They're selling products. They are like advising products. I don't know if you know Tmall in China.
Yes.
Like it's the live streams that they are engaging with a lot of millions of people. They are like maybe watching 1 hour to the explanation of the product, and then they are at the same time buying. I think it's coming because we are covering a gap that the people are missing. I think at the beginning of the crisis, it was because we were not able to go to shops. Now, depending on the country, you are able or you're not able. And you need to find, when it comes to skincare, certain advice. So many brands that have put in place like e-consultation, master classes, etc., etc. And I think social commerce is a way as well to do the link between, okay, the brands, this advice, the people they are missing, because I'm at home, I don't know if this treatment is or not for me, or I'm looking for this or that ingredient, and I have read whatever. And the influencers are playing in a certain way this role of advising to our end consumers. And now, since the rules have changed because the people are scared to go to the shops, or the shops are closed in some countries, that it has been a way to the brands to link to the end consumer in a more genuine way. I'm not surprised that we are going to start to see like beauty advisors that are going to become influencers in the next coming month.
No, absolutely. When you mention about big celebrities, because I love that you mentioned about the funnel, right? So it's the consideration, awareness, and then potentially conversion. We, from our experience here at MG Empower, we have been creating strategies that are very thoughtful in terms of understanding, of course, first, what are the objectives, right? And then understand what the KPIs we wanted to achieve. But mostly understand what the tier of influencers that we wanted to engage for the certain campaign. Because to your point, when it comes to celebrities, from our results of our campaigns, celebrities, they bring us the awareness, right? The reach, but they not really necessarily bring the conversion. We have seen more the conversion coming from the mid tiers and the micro tier. And, like having that strategy based on tiers and understand what each individual can bring to you, to your brand as a result, more than ever, it's very important, right? When you see celebrities, if they become a part of your campaign just for awareness, or you still see conversion when you work with big celebrities?
I think for me, my experience is the celebrities are more for awareness because they are giving you reach. The thing is, at the end, is like it's the same as TV. TV is giving you a lot of reach, but not that much, depending, okay, on the campaign, on the product, a lot of things. Conversion, like immediate conversion. Okay, sometimes you see a TV ad of a brand, and then you go to the shop, and then the BA is able to sell you another brand. At the end, you need to work on the different stages. And influencer marketing, you need to really think about, okay, what is your goal? If your goal is to create awareness, okay, then go for someone who's going to give you reach and it's very like close to your brand DNA. If you work on trust, work on consideration, because the people see your TV, but then you realize shop until they go online, they buy another brand. Then it's like you need to work more on consideration. You need to work with someone that is going to engage with them. And then big influencers, why not? We have some, they engage with their audiences, but my experience is like, it's more like the second tier, the third tier, the micro influencers, they're engaging more with the audiences. But from a business perspective, it's hard to build your panel because it's one-to-one. And when it comes to conversion, that depends on the brand, and that depends a lot of on the consumers. For example, in Asia, is like huge celebrities with a lot of followers and reach. They are converting very well. In Europe, doesn't work that well because the people are probably more critical, or I think the way we look into the brand ambassadors or the big celebrities is different.
Yeah. Absolutely. And like jumping into that momentum, how do you see then when you mention about, of course, like shops are now closed, right? You cannot have the same experience as we used to have in the past, where you can come on the shop and try on products and understand if that product is good for your skin or if it's match your skin color. So now the whole experience has changed. And we know that it's not just changed now, it's changed for the foreseen future, right? So how do you see the new technologies, for example, AR and VR, combined with the influencer marketing, are going to take the industry of beauty?
I think it's not even the future; it's the present. We have seen a lot of brands. They have some projects around it, like 5, 6, even I'm thinking about L'Oreal like 6, 7 years ago, because our main like barrier to sell online was to test the products. And first it was like more about, okay, how can I accelerate on makeup? And then because you need to test the color. And now it's, okay, how I can do a skincare diagnose in front of my computer, which is even more difficult. And the initial project was more about, okay, how can I accelerate on makeup? Because makeup, you need to try the colors in your skin. To really how I can create an experience to the end consumer. I have not seen you say anything, no? Yeah. Anything on fashion that I'm pretty sure in the future we are going to have like kind of diagnose tools where you can stand up and then try different stuff in order to see if it fits to you or not. It's quite, I think this is probably in the next coming year we are going to see.
Definitely. And I think that while that gets implemented, and also with working with influencers, it's going to be all about like building trust, like building awareness for the product. And also, as you mentioned, using those technologies to really show how that product is going to work for you, how it's going to like if it's a skincare product, how it's going to like impact your skin, etc. In terms of like working with not the mega influencers, not the celebrities, but with the lower level influencers for conversion, do you believe that the better results come from actually resonating and actually feeling like you are more similar to that person and trusting that word of mouth, that suggestion, that recommendation for a product?
I truly believe it's and I think we are going to move from influencer market to more advocacy, and that the brands are not only in beauty industry. In all industries, they are really try to stretch relationships in a long term.
Yeah.
And with people, they can engage with their own values. And starting from a center of interest, and then animating the population around it, because at the end I'm consumer, and you see a lot of influencers showing products, etc. But at the end, potentially I'm not following those influencers because I don't engage in their like positioning. I'm a surfer. I love surf, and probably I'm going to engage with someone that is surfing every weekend, and this person is going to advise me a sunscreen, because when you surf, you have tendency to burn your face very fast, rather than to go to a beauty influencer. You know what I mean? It's like, I think we are going to move from this more marketing package of marketing influencer to, okay, what is the center of interest of your consumer? And then from that, we are going to start to build advocates around the brands in the long term.
Yeah.
And then started to build a relationship with our end consumers. If, for example, if you love travels, probably you are going to look into someone that is traveling a lot, and then suddenly he's recommending you a restaurant or a skincare product to travel, whatever, because the skin loses a lot of hydration when you take out of planes. It's not nowadays, but hopefully soon. You know what I mean? It's like more to start from a center of interest rather than to push the brand that like the brands they have done in the past.
Yeah.
And around it to build your communities. Like, think about beauty brands or the more digital ones. They have started and they succeed creating community and creating like this engagement with the end consumer, starting from an interest rather than the push immediately the brand.
Yeah, I think definitely some really, really important points here, specifically on working with someone that is actually a consumer of your product. Like if it's a surfer that uses the sunscreen, or if it's someone that travels and actually uses that product, and not really working with people that have a large following but don't really use the product. And it feels like TV advertising. It feels like there's a post here about this and there's a post here about that. It's different posts, different products. It's not really focused within a certain.
A good example, I sorry to interrupt you. A good example of that is yoga. Okay, during the crisis, all the people started to do yoga at home because the people needed to relax.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny because at the end, the way to build communities around, like, for example, the teachers. It's not like a beauty influencer that is pushing the post with a nice posture, and it's like building community around people that have the same interest. I'm a fan of yoga and I'm doing yoga every day, and I was surprised, and because I was saying like, wow, there is a lot of people that are like recommending yoga, whatever, mat, top, a legging. And it's more around people that are talking about, okay, I have a same interest, and they are recommending the products they are using because they think they are the best.
That's so powerful, because it's, for example, doing like yoga live videos, and then like the yoga instructor actually recommending you a certain product. Then you actually have your audience, even though it's a lot smaller audience that's watching the live video, but they're going to engage and they're going to buy the product because it's something that they use.
I was just super curious here, and I'm sure our audience will be as well. As you're talking about, influencer marketing cover, and you have been in so many different markets, working with different cultural voices. Tell us here secrets of, not secret, I don't say secret, but tell us something about, from your point of view, the difference that you saw working from influencers from different markets, and how that point of differentiation comes. Is that because we as a global agency, we work with different brands creating campaigns from different markets, right? And then we know each influencer, they do behave different, they work different. So I'd love to hear from your perspective, from your experience, key elements, key secrets, that you have found working with so many different markets.
I'm just thinking about Colombia and the Nordics because it's where I work the most. For example, the first thing I always challenge my teams is about, okay, you have this pipe of influencers to do this campaign, and then you need always to check what is the composition of the audiences, because now influencers are worldwide. I mean China, well, not in China, sorry. I mean Colombia or in US or in the Northeast, I can follow an influencer in UK. This is the first thing. The second thing is just to understand the maturity of your market in terms of influencer marketing. And I give you an example. I was shocked. The Nordics, when we think about the Nordics, we think about those guys that are up north. Okay, I've been living 2 years in Copenhagen and I loved it. And the influencer market, it was like completely different. Like Swedish was really developed, and to really work with them, it was like not, I will not say easy, but it was always like it was the job. Okay, and then it used to be like paid. While Finland, it was super small and not that many, and you could manage to do some exchange with them and to build a relationship more in a long term because they were interested on. Denmark is not that developed at my time, to almost 1.5 years ago. And Norway was in between Sweden and Denmark. Think about like when you are Swedish, Finnish, or Danish, you follow more or less the same influencers, because even if they don't write the post on in English, you can not finish, but you can more or less to read the different languages because they are very close. And the markets, they were completely different. At the end, it's a question of how you balance between the influencers that are going to give you reach, and maybe they are going to cost you a little bit more, with or more other influencers that are more micro, but they are going to complete the profiles, and they are going to give you another extra audience. For example, in Colombia was when I was like 4 years ago, it was really starting. There were like not that many, and then when you were looking into the Colombian consumer is following Brazilians, Mexicans, a lot of US influencers. And then it's like, where is the limit? Okay, I should touch an American influencer. We had one Colombian makeup artist, Laura Makeup, a very good one. She was based in US with a huge amount of American followers, US followers. And not that many in Colombia. And then the headquarters, they were like pushing us to make a relationship with her. And we were like, okay, yeah, she's Colombian, but it doesn't mean that she has that many followers in Colombia. That's super important, because when it comes to influencer marketing, there is no limits. And sometimes you find someone like in the other side of the world that is influencing a lot your market.
It's very curious because we face the same challenge here. So we have campaigns, for example, in France, and then we would do the procurement, right, to look for that influencer group that will represent and participate on the campaign. And sometimes we go like, oh my God, we found the perfect French influencer. He is going to be amazing. And then we go to look at the demographic. France is not the key market of the influencer when it comes to demographics. So that influencer, we have, 44%, of demographic in US, for example, and then only 7% in France. And the campaign needs to target the French market. And we go like, oh no, because sometimes we assume And a lot of brands assume the same. Okay, no, she's based in US, so I'm sure she's huge in US. But then you look at the demographic, and sometimes to be based in the market does not necessarily mean your audience is there, right?
Yeah,
That's why
because
it's really important to analyze numbers before contracting influencers.
yeah, like I remember one conversation many years ago, like about the Chinese girl. They want to, they are like stereotype of beauty is the French women. For the French women is Italian. Like, you know what I mean? Like your stereotype of beauty or your stereotype in certain, like, for example, I surf. Like, you can think like, okay, if I need to follow someone, I need to follow someone in Australia. But no, you have a lot of good surfers in Spain, for example, in France. It's like sometimes we are like quite, I say, like we stick into the demographics, not thinking like internet doesn't have like barriers.
No.
And it's more like to understand what are the audiences, which kind of content is engaging this person, and what is the kind of, the positioning of this influencer. Because sometimes they have a lot of followers, but at the end, when you look into the content they're uploading, doesn't have that much consistency or a story behind. I truly believe that the influencers that are going to survive are the influencers that are really run by a passion. They have a really truly positioning on their Instagrams, like the guys, they are eating food in different restaurants and recommending the restaurants, and all is around food. They are going to be more genuine than the one is one day is travel, one day is food, one day is water, one day is beauty products. Because at the end, like a consumers, you engage with the people that you feed and you feel they are genuine. And it's the same with the brands. Huh? I truly believe that the future is for the brands. They're really betting on a purpose, and they go like for it, and they communicate. Not the ones that are in between. I'm doing this, but I'm doing that. The people don't believe anymore because the people search a lot, and there is a lot of brands with a lot of different products. It's not anymore that you need to go out and to buy a Sony Walkman. Do you remember from the 80s? Yeah. Because it was the one you could find in the market. But at least I'm Spanish, okay? We were like a little bit behind compared to other countries in Europe. But it's like nowadays there is, first of all, internet, and there is a lot of products, and even you can buy outside Europe. You pay taxes, but you can buy outside Europe. It's not like there is not anymore any barrier.
Taking to your point about purpose, let's talk about purpose, sustainability, skincare. What's the future?
Wow, a lot of topics. I think it's not only skincare. It's like what COVID has done is to accelerate a lot of trends. We had like they were coming the last 5 years. Okay, one of it is sustainability, and I think nowadays the consumer is becoming more and more aware of what they are consuming. I think that started with food, like gluten-free, lactose-free, etc., and the people are becoming more and more experts. And then they are thinking about one thing is what I'm eating, one thing is what I'm putting on my skin. And I think it's, at least for me, it's the same relationship like the food. It's like, since I have a very sensitive skin, like I need to take care of what I'm putting on my skin. And this, and the fact that we are wearing masks, the people with the pandemic, they become more like aware of the urban aggressions. They are looking into, what kind of products I can use that is not going to damage my skin, or is good for my skin. because have the brand the product has natural ingredients, because they have a environmental commitment, and then okay, it's good for me, it's good for environment, and that is coming super fast, and not only in beauty. I really believe that the fast fashion, they need to really rethink what is going to be their business model in the future, because the people that are not going to buy that many clothes. I never know how to say that word. Fashion, like it was, because they are concerned about, okay, I have a lot of stuff at home, what I'm going to do with. And the same with the packagings, are they recyclable or not? The same with the ingredients, are good for earth, are good for water. If I put a sunscreen that is damaging the oceans, it's good for me. You know what I mean? This is really, I think, come back to the earth on the behavior of the consumers. They are more aware. Okay, guys, we are facing this. The nature is saying us something, and all the social listenings, we are seeing that the people are more and more concerned, and it's coming fast. And the brands, they're looking into different angles, because not one size fits all. But I think if you're not in, you're out of the game.
Yeah, I think the challenge for brands will be to go into sustainability, but going in a very genuine way, right? Because I think, as you said, now the sentiment analysis are out there. We have understood that consumers, they now more than ever concerned about what they eat, about what they use on their skin, about the importance of exercise. I think wellness has never been so important as it is now. But I think when it comes to, even with the fashion brands, as you mentioned, it's like, all right, so the consumer behavior has changed, and we know as a brand we have to change as well in order to serve, right, this new consumer, this new especially the youngers, right, the Gen Zers, and also even the millennials. We are all more aware of what we buy and how we live. But the challenge, my point of view, is like, how can brands type into sustainability, but in a way that is true, because it has to be true. Brands cannot just jumping into it because it's a trend.
It's genuine. It should be genuine,
Yeah.
If not, the people that they don't trust you, and it's not easy, because the way it's understood sustainability depends on the countries. For some countries, it's more into, okay, you have a natural ingredient, you are sustainable. For other countries, it's more, okay, about clean formulas. It's about recycled packaging. It's not an easy subject for the brands. And then, since needs to be genuine, you have like, okay, the big brands, like they have been in the market for 30, 40, 50 years. It's from one day to another to evolve their brand. And it's not obvious the way that each brand needs to do it to evolve their purpose in a genuine way to fit the consumer, like no, I will not say needs, but expectations.
Absolutely. And how to convey that into a content as well, right? Because it's all about, how do I convey that I am a brand that is looking to sustainability, that is worried about climate change, or any topic that is regarded to sustainability. How to convey that in a message that can pass your values, and through your values you can get the consideration, right? Because more than ever, consumers are buying to brands' values, what's your purpose, and then from there, I will do a research, I will understand, review, sentiment analysis, and then I will consider it to become a potential consumer to your brand. So interesting times. I think we could stay here forever talking. It's also so good to talk and get in perspective of this industry that is so fascinating, which is influencer marketing, sustainability, content. But to end it here, I would love to end our podcast today asking you what's the future of beauty and what that future means for beauty when it comes to influencer marketing.
Wow. I think we're going to move from from content like as it is to culture that some fashion brands they started some years ago. Is going to be more genuine because if not, the consumer is not going to engage at all. I think what we have experienced as well as is like an over over information. We have been like stick to our screens since the COVID started, or Netflix, or Instagram, because we were bored with nothing to do at home. Like here in Paris, the restaurants has been closed since October, and the people really are looking for genuine brands. They are looking for consistent brands, and this is super important because they can look into your brand from other side of the world. It doesn't mean that you need to like take the values of your brand and then to adapt to a local level in order to resonate to your end consumer. But at the end, it's all about consistency. You can see two different brands in two different countries or even zones, and it's going to move more into culture rather than this is a visual and that's all. And you're going to see that like in fashion, because fashion there were like Louis Vuitton, for example, have been doing this for a long time. They did a collaboration with NBA, which was like, okay, wow. Or Nike, they have done a collaboration with Dior or Converse. It's like how I can make with some collaborations those icons, they can leave a footprint in the culture of the brand. That's, I think, more the challenge of the brands when it comes to influencer marketing and who is going to be the, in French you say, porte-parole, the ambassador of it, that really suits to the culture, the brand purpose of the brand, that really is going to engage with the audiences.
Could not agree more. I don't know about you, Aleks, but just on point, everything you said, I sign off. So I truly believe in everything you said and agree that this is definitely the direction that we will see, not just the beauty industry, but again, as you said, the fashion industry, not the hospitality industry. So I think it's all about, how to get your ambassador, but just making sure that influencers is not just to post a picture about a product, but working with cultural voices that we're going to get the relevance to a subject and getting, through their voices, show the purpose and the value of the brand.
It's so important to work with names that really create that impact, create that cultural impact, and really like resonate with the brand. That it's a right fit, exactly as you said. So I couldn't agree more with all the points that you mentioned.
And it's not an easy one from a brand perspective, because the world has changed so much the last year, and it's going to change the coming few years. It's about your ability to observe, adapt constantly.
To your point at the beginning of this podcast, it's all about to be agile, how can you be agile in a world that is constantly changing? That's it is the big challenge. And we know that the world is not going to become as it was before pandemic. And it's all unknown at the moment. We don't know what's going to be next. So it's all about, be agile, be attentive, and making sure that your brand, your product, it's with conveying in a content that it has a meaning, has a purpose, and have the right voice to represent. So interesting times ahead for all of us. But Elvira, thank you so much for your time and for having been here with us today on our Influencer Marketing Uncovered podcast, powered by MG Power. Grateful conversation, and thank you so much for your time. And we could not wish you more the best. And thank you so much for being here with us today.
And thank you for the opportunity.
You're more than welcome. For everyone that's listening to us today, thank you so much for being here. Stay tuned for our next episode. We are so delighted that every episode we have some amazing guests that is talking everything about influencer marketing from different perspectives. Hope you have enjoyed this conversation today. Tune in for our next episode, and thank you so much.
And don't forget to subscribe and listen to our episodes.
Yes, Aleks. Thank you so much for the reminder. Thank you so much, everyone. See you later.
Thank you.